Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. Smart Glue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimization, improved decision-making and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more. Coming up, a $3 million VCAT win for Glen Eira. Battery storage pushback in Baw Baw, a costly infringement mistake in Yarra Ranges. New South Wales' most controversial councillor suspended for a third time. Councils take a stand against new meeting rules. Disaster roll locked in for Queensland mayors. A staff exodus raises concerns at a Tasmanian council. And a call for compulsory voting at South Australian council elections. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. All of that and more is just ahead on Australia's #1 local government-related podcast. It's the Local Government News Roundup, a selection of news from and about councils from across Australia and beyond. It's all brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. It's Monday, the 3rd of November. Welcome along to a brand new week of the Roundup. Glen Eira City Council has successfully secured a $3 million levy from the Melbourne Racing Club, following a VCAT Administrative Tribunal ruling handed down last week, according to reporting from The Australian. The tribunal's decision means the Melbourne Racing Club will have to pay the money to the council as part of its plans to subdivide land at the historic Caulfield Racecourse for sale to Mount Scopus Private School. The levy replaces the normal requirement to set aside 8% of subdivided land as public open space, a condition that applies to residential, industrial and commercial developments in the municipality. The MRC had contested the levy, arguing it would impose a substantial burden that could jeopardise the entire $150 million land deal. The tribunal rejected those arguments, ruling that the racing club must pay the levy if it wants to proceed with the subdivision. For Glen Eira Council, the $3 million represents a major win in ensuring developers contribute to public amenities when subdividing land. The funds will go towards improving public open spaces and community facilities across the municipality. A bus belonging to self-proclaimed sovereign citizen Adam David Tucker has finally been removed from Williamstown's Nelson Place after 3 months. Mr Tucker, who claims he's no longer an Australian citizen and isn't subject to local laws, had been living in the dilapidated bus, despite numerous complaints from residents and businesses. Hobsons Bay City Council initially said the situation was too risky to resolve without extensive police backup due to the Desi Freeman manhunt, but council officers swooped on Friday morning in a joint operation with Victoria Police, towing the bus away. The Age reported that Mr Tucker failed to appear in court last week on 8 matters, resulting in a warrant for his arrest and forfeiture of his bail. Baw Baw Shire Council and local farming communities are pushing back against large-scale battery storage proposals threatening prime agricultural land. 2 battery energy storage system projects at Shady Creek and Yarragon North are being assessed by the Victorian Government, bypassing local council input. Mayor Danny Goss says generational farming families feel blindsided by industrial-scale developments on land that's supported food production for decades. The council has written to Planning Minister Sonia Kilkenny, expressing concerns about soil contamination, loss of farmland and the lack of community consultation. Yarra Ranges Council has uncovered technical errors in thousands of parking and animal-related infringements issued over the past 2 decades. An internal audit revealed parking fines issued between 2005 and 2025 were incorrectly charged, while animal infringements from 2014 to 2023 used invalid wording. The council is offering partial refunds for affected parking fines and full refunds for animal infringements. Residents can apply for refunds online from the 5th of November, with claims available for the next 12 months. Council CEO Tammy Rose apologised for the inconvenience and pledged to prevent future errors. Central Goldfields Shire Council has secured an agreement with Vic Roads to continue operating a full-service agency in Maryborough. The deal ensures licence testing and vehicle inspections will remain available locally without additional cost to ratepayers. Mayor Grace Lavella called it a positive outcome after difficult negotiations and thanked Vic Roads and political representatives for their support. The council's CEO Peter Harriott warned of possible temporary service reductions in November due to delayed staff training and recruitment. Kingston Council has reassured older residents that its Access Care program will continue providing high-quality in-home support despite major federal aged care reforms taking effect this month. Mayor Georgina Oxley says while funding arrangements may change for some home care package clients, the council's commitment to helping residents live independently and safely in their own homes remains unchanged. The Access Care team, which has served the community for over 30 years, is encouraging residents to reach out early with any questions or concerns about the reforms. The new aged care legislation also brings in new provisions deeming councillors as responsible persons. Tony Rownick from Hunt & Hunt Lawyers explained these new provisions to me on VLGA Connect this week.
Anyone who's responsible for the executive decisions of a body that's providing aged care through Commonwealth funding is a responsible person. And so whilst the councillors might not be making day-to-day operational decisions, they have an executive responsibility. That means if you're a responsible person, the councillor has a statutory duty to take reasonable steps to ensure that the council is meeting its obligations as a registered aged care provider. Things like, are there systems and resources and processes in place to manage risk appropriately? Are the legal and operational requirements of aged care being delivered? And these are quite significant responsibilities.
For more on Tony's view on these federal aged care reforms, check out this week's edition of VLGA Connect, available on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. In other news today, Greater Geelong Council has deferred a decision on the future of a former senior citizens' hall in Whittington after deep divisions emerged over social housing versus community use, according to the Geelong Advertiser. The Geelong Society of Operatic and Dramatic Arts wants the site for its operations, backed by local MPs, but officers have recommended social housing instead. Councillors approved the sale of 3 other properties while rejecting another 2, with a Belmont site now earmarked for 40% public open space and social housing. Sunbury will mark the 150th anniversary of the Ashes in 2027, following a decision of Hume City Council. Sunbury Life reported that the town holds a unique place in cricket history as the birthplace of the legendary rivalry between Australia and England. In 1877, Lady Janet Clark presented English captain Ivo Bligh with an urn containing symbolic ashes at Rupert's Wood Estate. The council will develop community-led activities, including school projects, exhibitions and displays, aiming to boost local pride and tourism and economic benefits ahead of the major international sporting event. And registration is now open for councils to participate in the 2026 Community Satisfaction Survey. Local Government Victoria has appointed Klein Research as the new supplier following an extensive review and competitive tender process. Klein Research brings over 30 years of market research experience and will maintain comparability with historical data while introducing measured enhancements. Councils can register directly through Klein Research's online portal, and councils can opt to procure an alternative provider as long as they meet the required minimum standards. Here are some more Victorian Council briefs. Greater Shepparton's River Connect program is gearing up to protect turtle nests as nesting season approaches this month and next. 3 species of freshwater turtle call the region home, but foxes prey on around 95% of nests, and residents are urged to report any turtle sightings through a special app or contact River Connect. Corangamite Shire is trialling new split-compartment waste trucks that can collect glass and recycling bins simultaneously. The trucks are clearly marked to avoid confusion and have 2 compartments that keep materials completely separate. The trial begins this week and will run until year's end. And Glen Eira Council is considering introducing a cat curfew to protect local wildlife and keep felines safer. 3 options are under consideration: a nighttime curfew, a 24-hour curfew, or maintaining the current approach with no restrictions. The council will formally consider its options at its meeting this Wednesday night. This is the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, which has received requests from some councillors to extend the deadline for the councillor census this year, and the VLGA has responded. Councillors now have until midnight this Wednesday, the 5th of November, to complete the census. Well, actually, it's 11:59pm, apparently. This is the last chance for councillors across Victoria to have their say and help inform and influence important conversations across the local government sector. The census takes about 10 minutes to complete. Every councillor has been emailed a unique link to the census. So you have a bit more time, 11:59pm Wednesday, the 5th of November. Now, if you have any questions or need your direct link to be resent, please contact census@vlga.org.au or call the VLGA directly. Now for today's New South Wales report, and Councillor Andrew Tharda from Snowy Monaro Regional Council has been issued his 3rd suspension notice effective on the 6th of November. The New South Wales Office of Local Government ordered the 3-month suspension under the Local Government Act for misconduct breaches. The violations relate to social media posts and online comments made between May and August this year. The Secretary found Tharda showed no remorse and demonstrated an ongoing risk of engaging in conduct that poses serious risks to others' health and safety. Tharda must apologise in writing within 14 days, specifying the misconduct. The suspension runs through February 5th next year. Under Local Government Act provisions, Tharda now faces automatic disqualification from holding civic office for 5 years due to 3 suspensions. He has lodged an application to stay the latest suspension. Central Darling Shire now has its first council in over a decade, with 3 elected and 3 appointed councillors coming together under a new rural and remote council model. The New South Wales Government said it was introducing the structure to restore democratic representation while maintaining stable governance in the remote region. Former Administrator Bob Stewart will chair the council alongside elected members Peter Sullivan, Max Bradley and Daniel Fusey. Appointed councillors include Fiona Kelly and former Auburn MP Barbara Perry. The New South Wales Government is providing $6 million to support the council's financial stability as it transitions out of administration. A Bayside councillor has challenged proposed restrictions on council meeting participation, calling them an attempt to silence democratic debate. The St George and Sutherland Shire leader reported on Councillor Chris Saravinovski's opposition to draft code changes, which limit councillors to 1 motion and 2 questions per meeting. He argued the restrictions would silence both councillors and the community they represent, noting current motion averages are only marginally higher than the previous term. The council unanimously supported removing those limitations from the draft code. Councillors also criticised state government-imposed provisions banning pre-meeting briefings, saying they prevent councillors from making well-informed decisions on complex matters. The draft code controversially requires councillors to stand when the mayor enters chambers, drawing comparisons to courtroom protocol. The amended draft will now undergo 28 days of public consultation. Meanwhile, at Wagga Wagga, the mayor, Dallas Tout, has slammed changes to council meeting rules as a city-centric response to Metropolitan Council behaviour. Councillor Tart says the government imposed changes banning private briefings and requiring in-person attendance by councillors will unfairly punish regional councils doing the right thing. The new code will prevent councillors from dialing into meetings remotely, making it harder for those with full-time jobs to fulfil their civic duties, he says. Councillor Tart warns meetings will run longer, with more questions and deferrals as councillors lose the ability to discuss items in workshops beforehand. More on that from Region Riverina. Shoalhaven Mayor Patricia White is demanding urgent action from the government to tackle illegal tobacco sales after a spike in crime linked to local tobacconists. A recent suspicious fire at Sanctuary Point shops has raised concerns about a pattern of arson attacks across the city. The council has requested planning system changes to force tobacconist stores through formal development approval processes. Bega Valley Shire Council is rolling out a 6-month trial of return and earn bin baskets across Bega, Eden and Merimbula starting today. The baskets will be attached to public bins, letting people drop in eligible bottles and cans for others to collect and recycle for the 10-cent refund. The trial runs until April next year, with the council monitoring usage and feedback, and if successful, the scheme could be expanded across the Shire. Lake Macquarie City Council is headed to the New South Wales Supreme Court to fight workplace bullying allegations from a long-term employee. Development planner Louise Cooper was sacked on the 23rd of October, just weeks after filing her case, according to the Newcastle Herald. The court stepped in, calling the termination preemptive and quite inappropriate, forcing the council to reinstate her on paid leave. Cooper claims she faced retaliation after making disclosures about another employee's behaviour in 2022, but the council denies all allegations and has moved to strike out her claim, with the hearing set for November 6. And Inner West Council has adopted its Fairer Future plan to deliver between 20,000 and 30,000 new homes over 15 years. The park includes significant amendments following community consultation, reducing density in Marrickville, Dulwich Hill and Ashfield by approximately 5,000 homes. And the council will establish a $500 million infrastructure fund to deliver new open spaces, transport links and community facilities. More New South Wales Council briefs for you. Snowy Monaro Council will ask the community for their opinion on investigating a council demerger through its upcoming community satisfaction survey. The question will note the estimated cost of approximately $500,000 for the preparation of a demerger business case. Shoalhaven City Council has adopted an updated river entrance management policy to help reduce flood risk at Shoalhaven Heads and surrounding communities. The policy enables the council to act swiftly and make informed decisions to minimise flooding impact on low-lying areas. And the City of Coffs Harbour has launched a comprehensive 72-page investment prospectus aimed at attracting domestic and international investment to the region's $5 billion economy. The prospectus highlights the coastal city's population of 81,000, its position on the Pacific motorway between Sydney and Brisbane, and major developments including the $2.2 billion Coffs bypass. Exciting times ahead there at Coffs Harbour. There's also a proposed $600 million movie studios project. This is the Local Government News Roundup. Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3. Symphony 3's Smart Glue solution helps councils deliver simple, connected customer experiences, like Ballina Shire Council, who recently streamlined and automated their register of payments, delivering a beautiful online experience to citizens and getting a positive return on investment within 5 weeks. Smart Glue eliminates 30 to 40 minutes of manual labour per payment at Ballina. With over 8,000 payment transactions per annum, this new service eliminates over 5,000 hours of manual labour per annum. Visit www.symphony3.com to learn more about how Smart Glue can work for you. On to our Queensland report now, and Queensland mayors will automatically lead local disaster recovery efforts under sweeping reforms announced by the Queensland government. The changes follow a bitter dispute at Ipswich City Council, where Mayor Teresa Harding was controversially replaced as chair of the local disaster management group by opposing councillors. ABC News reported that new reforms will also lock in mayors as lead spokespeople for council media and public relations. The changes will form part of the Empowering Councils Bill, expected to be introduced to Parliament later this year. Central Highlands Regional Council has endorsed a major organisational restructure to strengthen local service delivery. The number of senior management positions will be reduced from 25 to 20, with most roles now community-facing rather than back-office positions. Mayor Janice Moriarty says the changes will help council work more effectively with the community. CEO Aaron Johansson says they're cutting red tape and putting more resources on the front line. The new structure takes effect from this month. Noosa Council has expressed deep condolences following the tragic death of a young woman at the Cooroy Sports Complex. The incident occurred during a football activity on Thursday evening. Mayor Frank Wilkie said the heartbreaking event has deeply saddened the community, and the council is assisting with support services for family, friends and community organisations. All football activities at the club have been suspended until further notice. Douglas Shire Council is looking at ways to develop a fairer funding model for tourism infrastructure after welcoming more than 700,000 visitors in the year to March this year. The cost of supporting the visitor economy is currently carried by a small number of local ratepayers. Mayor Lisa Skamazin says council wants to ensure the financial burden is shared more sustainably while continuing to invest in tourism and essential services. Moreton Bay Council has teamed up with a high-tech company to install 16 sensors providing real-time heat and humidity updates at flying fox roosts. The data will be used by wildlife carers to respond to heat stress events as spring heat waves hit and summer approaches. Flying foxes will begin to suffer when temperatures exceed 38 degrees, with fatalities occurring at 42 degrees. And Cairns is gearing up to celebrate its 150th anniversary next year with a year-long program of free community events. Cairns Regional Council has endorsed $193,000 in community partnerships funding to bring the celebrations to life. The program will feature heritage, arts, sport and cultural events, including the Cairns Ukulele Festival and the Karma Multicultural Festival. An additional $60,000 has been approved for local Christmas celebrations and other community initiatives. News still to come from South Australia, Western Australia, the Northern Territory and our global report. But first out of Tasmania, the Advocate reports of claims of turmoil at West Coast Council with up to 22 staff departures in recent months. The exodus is reported to have left critical gaps, including the loss of the town planner and most of the planning team. The council is also dealing with multiple legal issues, including unfair dismissal claims, a sexual harassment case, and ongoing investigations into a 2023 workplace death. Council management says the organisation is going through a period of change, which it claims is common for small councils. To South Australia, Victor Harbour Mayor Moira Jenkins is calling for compulsory voting to tackle dismal turnouts in South Australian council elections, according to InDaily SA. Just 33% of eligible voters cast ballots in the 2022 local government elections, costing nearly $9 million. Councillor Jenkins wants reforms including mandatory training for councillors and better remuneration to attract younger candidates. She says the changes already announced by the state government don't go far enough. Local Government Minister Joe Zarkax says his reform package follows extensive consultation with councils and community members. The City of Mount Gambier has proposed reclassifying short-stay rentals like Airbnbs as commercial properties, not residential. The change would see rates jump to 250% of residential rates from mid-next year, falling to 200% over 3 years. The council says it's fair because these properties generate income and strain infrastructure like hotels do. But owners say it's a money grab that'll push up prices for tourists. ABC News reported the proposal only targets properties rented out for more than half the year. The District Council of Mount Remarkable has appointed Mark Gardner as its new Chief Executive Officer. Mr Gardner brings over 25 years of local government experience from senior roles in regional Queensland and the NT. Mayor Stephen McCarthy says Mr Gardner's proven track record in delivering positive outcomes made him the ideal choice. He'll officially commence in the role in January. Across to WA, the City of Coburn says it has no plans to use artificial intelligence to manage its finances after a resident asked if it would adopt AI or modern processes to control spending after last year's $4.2 million deficit. Corporate Services Director Carissa Bywater says AI in procurement is still emerging, with no WA local government using it yet, according to Perth Now. The city is exploring how AI could improve processes, but won't implement it until legislation changes. The resources sector is calling on the Western Australian government to consider merging regional councils. The mining lobby wants state intervention as the fight over council rates in regional areas intensifies, according to WA Today. The push comes amid ongoing tensions between mining companies and local governments over rating arrangements. Industry representatives argue that consolidation could improve efficiency and reduce administrative costs in regional areas. And in the NT, Darwin City Council has passed a transparency motion after a chaotic 45-minute debate marked by confusion over costs and procedures. The motion, introduced by Councillor Ed Smelt, calls for an annual community satisfaction survey and improved meeting agendas. The NT News reported that cost estimates range up to $400,000, with the Lord Mayor questioning where the funding would come from. Now for some stories of interest in our global report to round out this edition of the Roundup. Firstly, in the UK, more than 100 business and charity leaders have called on ministers to lead the country towards a shorter working week. The appeal comes after the local government secretary, Steve Reid, criticised South Cambridgeshire Council for implementing a 4-day week trial. Council leader Bridget Smith has defended the policy, pointing out it's saved nearly £400,000 annually. At least 430 UK companies have adopted shorter weeks. Another 25 councils are reportedly planning to trial 4-day weeks next year, according to The Guardian. A Reform UK councillor has jumped ship to the Conservatives after growing uncomfortable with Nigel Farage's party. James Buchan, who won his Dartford seat in July, said he was particularly troubled by Reform's plan to scrap indefinite leave to remain for non-EU migrants. The councillor accused Reform of lacking experience and relying on rhetoric rather than practical solutions. He said he wanted to be able to look his family in the eye and distanced himself from the party's policies. Reform sources have called on him to resign and fight a by-election. In Washington State in the US, Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown has declared a city emergency to fast-track funding for homeless services as the federal shutdown impacts mount. Spokesman.com reported that the move will add 50 shelter beds and mobile medical units, while 83,000 county residents face losing food stamp benefits starting on the weekend. Federal workers nationwide are going unpaid in the second longest shutdown since Donald Trump's previous term, affecting 1.4 million people. The City of Bend, Oregon, paid its Equity and Inclusion Director $86,000 to resign after he'd already submitted his resignation, according to reporting from Oregon Public Broadcasting. Andres Patella III initially sent a detailed letter alleging he faced racist incidents and was excluded from departmental decisions. But days later, he submitted a much shorter resignation letter without any complaints, shortly before receiving the settlement. City officials say the payout was justified to manage legal risk, citing what they called inconsistent behaviour. The city has conducted an independent review of his discrimination complaints. In Canada, the head of a city workers' union in London, Ontario, says that if city councillors get a 35% pay rise, his members should too. And the Deputy Mayor Sean Lewis argues it's an apples to watermelons comparison, noting councillors lack union benefits and job security. Councillors are considering a hefty pay increase from just under $70,000 to over $94,000 after the next election. The union leader says city workers are also underpaid compared to other municipalities. The council will make its final decision on the controversial compensation package this week. And to New Zealand, where Auckland Mayor Wayne Brown has fired a warning shot at Wellington, telling the government to show more respect for the city that drives a third of New Zealand's economy. In his inauguration speech, Brown says his landslide re-election victory was a clear mandate to push harder for Auckland's interests. Stuff reported that he's demanding a formal city deal with Prime Minister Christopher Luxon that would give Auckland more funding and decision-making power. And Wellington's new Mayor Andrew Little says a super city-style council for the region is all but inevitable. He wants to discuss the amalgamation idea with the community, noting that residents increasingly see themselves as part of a unified region. He's also pushing for a review of the controversial $139 million Golden Mile upgrade at the council's first meeting this month. And now you're up to date with the latest from the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 512, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 3rd of November 2025. Any comments or feedback can be sent by email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com, and you can find out more about this episode, including all the story links, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. It comes your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I'll be back soon with more. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. A councillor's commitment to community doesn't stop when their time as an elected representative ends. In recognition of this, and to strengthen its ongoing support for former councillors, the VLGA has launched an alumni program, open to anyone who has held an elected position in local government. By becoming a VLGA alumnus, former councillors will have access to VLGA programs and special alumni networking events, as well as the opportunity to participate in forums and share key learnings and insights to inform sector advocacy. You'll be kept up to date on local government news and be able to participate in VLGA events and professional development opportunities at a special VLGA alumni member rate. To find out more about this exciting opportunity, visit www.vlga.org.au.